Welcome. This is a video on the dark side of chasing money and work. I mean, obviously, just the whole concept of chasing already is bad. But you know, I'm making this video because everybody knows, obviously, that it's bad to chase money and work. Yet almost everybody does it. I mean, most people do it anyways. Right? We want financial independence, we want security, we want this and that, and we will make sacrifices to get there. This video I will talk about the dark side of those sacrifices and how it works basically. You see, if you're forcing yourself to work on a routine regularly that you don't really want to do, eventually it's gonna burn itself out, because anything that you don't want to do, your soul will eventually force you to stop. And let's face it, almost nobody wants to chase work or money. Nobody really wants to chase anything, because the soul is flexible. The soul changes in an unpredictable manner what it wants to do at any given time. So you may want to work a lot on one day, and then you see all these benefits. You're like, oh, I got all these benefits from the work. So you want to do it again and again. And then it becomes an addiction before you know it, because you get used to the rewards. Your body, it is a habit machine. It wants to repeat everything over and over. So even if only once, for a short time, you chase something like money or work, your body will create a detox reaction. It will make you a little bit cranky if you suddenly stop, because it's trying to maintain homeostasis. The body is like a monkey, let's be real here. It just wants to repeat anything you're doing. And sometimes we need to work hard. And then after that time is over, we don't need to work so hard anymore. We need to work smart instead. But we've been so conditioned to working hard that we've forgotten how to have a healthy relationship with work or money. So our emotions are really in charge. Our guilt that says, oh, you didn't do enough today. For most people, that's who's in charge. Most people are driven by fear. They're trying to run away from that anxiety they feel. Because to face that anxiety is to change. The body, in its flawed, yes, absolutely flawed design, wants to go back to what it has been doing before. The body is addicted to whatever you're doing, to repeat it. The soul is not. And this discrepancy that human life unfortunately entails creates a split between the mind and the body for everyone. Everyone. So even if you don't have any chasing money or work problems in your life, this video still applies to you, because at some point your body will want to work, or your reptile brain, yeah, let's be real here, parts of your body are smart enough to realize that no, this is not really what I want. But the reptile always wins. Because the reptile brain, guess who planted it there? Yeah, it's not difficult to guess. Those people, whoever designed the human body, has created the reptile brain to make sure that people are driven and controlled by fear. Because that part of the body is stronger than this one. The frontal lobe represents the soul. The soul takes action through this. This is the command center. Okay, the third eye, the frontal lobe, the pineal gland, anything connected to that is the seat of the soul. Everybody who studies just a tiny bit this kind of stuff knows this. So it's very basic. And the reptile brain is not the seat of the soul, it's the seat of the carnal nature, the animal nature of the body. Which of course, its only interest is survival. Its only interest is to maintain the continuity of your body. Maintain continuity. Repeat like a machine, like a robot. Over and over again, thinks that this part of your brain may not want to do. But because this part is so strong, it creates a split. Now, we know from psychology that in certain mental health disorders, this split is strong, like a narcissism. The split between this and this is so strong, there's zero communication between those parts. This part has completely taken over in case of narcissism. But the reason why some of you, most people, can relate to narcissism at least a little bit is because we can relate to the reptile brain, which everybody has. That reptile brain is a predator. It wants to take. It's opportunistic. It's manipulative. It has no morals, no ethics, no laws. It is adversarial. It is selfish. It is self-centered. Its only interest is its own survival. It's a mechanism that is self-perpetuating, like a robot. It's psychopathic in nature. So this psychopath we all have, as a clinical entity, as a physical part of the body, it's there. So you can't get rid of it. You can do any trauma work you want. You can be a saint. You can go to a monastery. You can go through enlightenment. And after enlightenment, you're still in a human body. And unfortunately, the human body has a reptile brain. Sorry. It's just anatomy. Just biology. Even if you have zero trauma, the split will always be there for as long as you live. However, you can take charge of the split. You're not a victim. This part, you can still take control. You're still in here, you see. So the stronger your connection to this, the stronger your connection to your soul, doesn't matter how much anxiety this part of the brain creates, doesn't matter how the temptations of the devil are trying to make you manipulate people, how they are trying to force you to do things you don't want to do. You can always take charge. You always have a choice. Only a narcissist, only a psychopath refuses, also by choice, not to choose this part of the body, not to choose this soul. So this Aries point the beginning of the end, the alpha of the omega. This is the alpha point. This is your beginning. So this is your decision making. And what is this? This is what you need to get out of slavery. This is what you need to stop forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do, no matter how much it may threaten your reptile brain. Because the reptile brain, of course, is stupid. The rational thinking, the logical thinking is all to this. Mathematics, science, I hate mathematics, but I still mention it. Philosophy, which I like. Pattern recognition. Recognition of the truth. So the truth is here. The truth is justice. The truth is the law that governs this realm, is in charge of this realm, right? The truth is in charge. Reality is in charge, not delusion, not fantasy. Narcissists and New Age, they believe fantasy, which is, I don't know, their thinking is in charge. But thoughts are reactive. Thoughts, there's no fire in thoughts. Thoughts are air. This is fire. Aries point. You need to understand how this works. Yeah, this is fucking camera. Come back. You need to understand how this works. It's very important you understand this, because this video, this is not just a small subject. Oh, I force myself to do things I don't want to do. I just have to do it. This is about your soul. Your soul is at stake here. So listen up. The fire element is spontaneous combustion. It's spontaneous intuition, but it's immediately instant. Timeless. No thoughts. No emotions. Instant. It's like, I know what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Puff. It's instant. No question. And if you are have a very strong connection to this instantaneous decision making, you're a genius. You're a genius, because this brain here, without this, is so slow. All this thinking, all this analyzing takes time. But this does not. Because this is your will, what you want. And as you know, only your will is capable of manifesting. This is the magician's domain. The magician has to use this to get favorable outcomes. And if you don't use this, if you listen to this, you will always be small. You will always be a slave. There's a very good example in Star Trek. I don't know if you know Captain Picard of Star Trek The Next Generation. Star Trek Enterprise. This is a very old series, but this guy, there's an episode where he dies because he has a robot heart. And this robot heart one day stops working, so he needs surgery. But the surgery goes wrong. The robot heart doesn't work anymore. So he's dead. So then Q, this god, deity, you could call it like an angel or something, but it's not, just a god, okay, comes to him and says, okay, I'm going to give you another chance. If you go back in time, Picard, and you stop the accident that forced you to get a heart transplant, if you live with a normal heart, I will allow you to live. So then Picard goes back in time, and the reason why he got a metal heart is because he was a fighter in his youth. He was constantly fighting all the time people around him to get what he wants, to push, like Aries, you know. He would constantly challenge authority. There was this group of people, Nausicans, it's an alien race, who provoked Picard into a fight. And Picard said, oh, you want to fight me? Let's fight. So he fought them, and when one of them stabbed him with a spear through his heart from the back, and then his heart was dead. So he needed to be replaced. So then this entity, Q, this god, tells Picard, okay, I'm just gonna make it go away. All you have to do is to not fight with the Nausicans. That's all. Just avoid the fight. Don't fight back. So Picard does this, thinking, okay, I just have to avoid this fight and I'm going to be fine. So he does it, and then Q says, okay, great, you did it. Wish granted, boom. He doesn't lose his heart remains. And then Picard is time traveling into 10 years into the future of this timeline, this life in which he did not fight back. And in this life, he's no longer Captain Picard. He's now a lowly science officer on the Enterprise. Nobody knows about him. Nobody notices him. I'm talking about Picard, okay? Picard is literally a genius. A genius. And this guy, because he refused to fight to save his life, to survive, to protect his reptile brain, because that's all the reptile brain is interested in. All the reptile brain wants is to survive, right? So he gave up on his own morals, his own ethics, to survive, and because of that decision, that one decision he made to give up on his ethics in this situation, he became a nobody, a lowly servant, not a captain. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. If you ever listen to this, slavery will always be the outcome. It doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter if you keep your heart intact, doesn't matter how many rewards the material realm will give you for ignoring your soul. You will be punished in the end. Okay? Because it doesn't matter how things look on the outside. This is a realm of illusion. Remember, justice, truth, Saturn is in charge of this realm. And if you don't listen to that justice, if you allow the reptile brain to take over, even just a little bit, consequences will always be karmic, negative karma. While on the surface, the narcissist gets away with everything, doesn't he? A psychopath becomes a CEO. Psychopaths are in charge of government, all these rich people. Things seem to be working for them, doesn't it? But you don't know what's happening in the background. You don't know the rot within their soul. And that rot, they're doing everything in their power to forget that rot. And the only way to forget is to get more and more power in the external. So it's an addiction. It's a self-perpetuating mechanism. Once you choose to listen to the reptile brain to make decisions, it will always rule you. Fear will rule you. And that's what they want, right? They want everybody to live in fear. Because if you are in fear, you are predictable. You always do the same thing over and over again, like a robot. The reptile has no original thought, no passion, no courage. So Captain Picard is no longer Captain Picard, he's just a lowly science officer. He knows the shit, he knows everything, yeah? He's a science officer. But he can't put it to action. Because the reptile brain is in charge, not he. It's just the body. So while on the outside his heart is intact. I mean the heart, I'm talking about the heart, right? It's funny. The heart is intact, but he's a dead person. He's a zombie. Nobody cares about him. Nobody. Including himself. So if you really care about yourself, if you want others to care about you, as within, so without, right? As above, so below. If you really care about this, if you respect this, others will too. If you want others to submit to your will, you must first submit to your own. If you want others to validate your soul, you must validate your soul. It's almost too simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Because you are working against the devil here. Do you know what you're up against? Let me repeat what you're up against, okay? Make this perfectly clear. You are up against a biological implant inside your brain that has been designed to enslave you on purpose for the rest of your life. Now, if you don't understand this, if you don't believe me, do your own research, please. Because I don't see anybody talking about this, but if you go into science, if you study how does the reptile brain work, if you study Peter Levine's papers about trauma and how trauma is ruled by the reptile brain, how the reptile brain is responsible for all fight, all flight, all fawn responses, and shuts down the frontal lobe by design, then you're really getting into a rabbit hole where you are. This is the bottom of all conspiracy theories. But it was never about the outside. It was never about some bunch of people controlling you, brainwashing you, manipulating you. They don't need to manipulate you. You are already hijacked biologically. This is not just spiritual warfare, this is biological warfare. As soon as you choose to incarnate into this body, you're already at war. From the moment you incarnate, okay, you are at war with the rest of your life. And there's nothing you can do about it except to fight back. Every single day, to fight back. When the reptile brain says, oh, what about if they don't like you? What if you lose the money? What if you lose the career? What if you lose followers? Blah, 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 blah. Do you know this internal chatter, this monkey mind chatter? Where is it coming from? It is not coming from this, I can assure you. The third eye, you know this. Your own awareness, you are aware that your monkey mind is putting this shit to block your energy. To block what? The fire, the spirit, the soul. You know this is happening every single day of your life, but you can choose not to listen to it. You can make the boundary. This is like a muscle. When you go to the gym, you work it. You push against the reptile brain over and over and over. You choose not to listen to it over and over. You make your own decisions until it is easy. Until you're looking at the reptile brain like, are you still there? You're still there. You're still telling me to live on fear? Okay, I see. You're here to keep me on my toes. Because the soil needs a challenge. And it would be too easy if you weren't there. So thank you. Thank you for hijacking my biology and forcing me to become strong. Because if I don't fight back, if I don't develop the strength to resist the fear inside my own brain, what am I doing here? This is it. This is what it's about. Resist the control system. The control system is in your body. It's not just trauma. It's not just armoring. It's not just detoxing and health and food. All of this is just... It's not the core of the issue. Core of the issue, you've been designed to be a slave. But you're still here. You can still wake up. Wake up now. Resist. Okay? If that voice tells you, oh, you need to work it. You need to? What do you mean I need to? You don't need to do anything. Nothing is... You need nothing. Really. I don't care what your body needs. You want the money? Okay. How are you going to get the money? Do things you want to do and get it. But the moment you do something you don't want to do to get the money, guess who's in charge? Not you. Oh, so I can survive. Just fear. You're justifying fear. You're justifying control. You are your own worst enemy. Wake up. Please. Please, we need to wake up. We've been doing this for so long. I'm looking around, everyone around me, everyone, everywhere. What is going on? Everyone is hijacked. Now I know why. It's inside their brain. They haven't realized it yet. If you didn't realize this, you're not awakened. If you didn't realize your own brain is working against you. And it is your choice if you want to resist and reclaim your sovereignty. You reclaim your control, your power. Or if you want to be like everybody else. And it doesn't matter if you're a detox specialist, doesn't matter if you're an astrologer, doesn't matter if you're a psychotherapist, doesn't matter if you're a light worker. As long as you're still listening to this, there is no light coming from you. You're still spreading the same message. Message of fear. And what's my message? What's an example that's the opposite? Here's the example. I'm telling you. Listen to your will. Forget everything that is trying to justify doing the same thing over and over again that you don't want to do. Make the boundaries, separate and individuate. Do you know what it means? Carl Jung. To separate and individuate? Separate from what? Individuate, divide from what? From who? This motherfucker here. This is relentless. If you are not divided from this, you are divided. Actually, right? How we say divide and conquer. What is this division? The division is in your body. Soul, reptile brain, The division is to divide you from this, get you into this. To unify you with a reptile brain is to be divided from yourself. To individuate, to be an individual, is to divide from the reptile brain, to separate. From the mother's womb, the father, the authority. We don't need all these terms. We don't need to understand Sigmund Freud, mother psychology. We don't need this. All we need is a reptile brain. It's trying to suppress the soul, the third eye. It's trying to use fear, guilt, shame, negative effect. Only negative, never anything positive. You can forget. There is nothing positive that the reptile brain creates ever to make decisions. But this and this, the heart, fire, Leo, Aries, third eye, and Sagittarius, the liver. You don't even see it. The fire is telling you the right thing to do. So that's basically it, yeah? We know who the enemy is. Good, now we can go back to sleep. Now we can just live our life listening to this. Oh, if it were so easy. If it were only so easy. But it is. Or isn't it? Depends how strong is your will. The will is the muscle. The muscle of all muscles. If you don't want to resist, if you don't want to be an individual, if you don't want to be free, you're not going to. Blessed are those who are hungry for righteousness, justice, morals, ethics, the law. What is the law? I am the law. Not the reptile brain. Not my body. My body is not the law. That's what we're trying to tell you, right? That your survival, oh no, you can't commit suicide. We need to make a law so you can't commit it, so you can't leave on your own terms. Why would somebody do this? Why would somebody make a law to stop the soul from making suicide? Have you ever seen somebody wanting to suicide because of a reptile brain? I don't think so. This doesn't want to suicide. Maintain the continuity is the only thing it's interested in. Doesn't matter how miserable the continuity is. Yeah? That's the key. They know this. They know you're willing to be miserable, doing things you hate to do, to maintain the continuity of his body for as long as this is stronger than this. So, how do they do this? How do they hijack your will? It's simple. They just destroy your sense of identity. They make you believe that you don't even have a soul. They disconnect you from what you want. They say, oh, you are a Buddhist, right? Attachments are wrong. Don't be attached. Well, I'm attached to my will. How about this? I'm attached to justice. I'm attached to getting what I want. They don't want you to be attached to that. They want you to say, oh, all desires are wrong. Let me forget the desires, to forget the suffering. You are suffering because you're not getting what you want. Simple. My goodness, is it really so complicated? No, it's not. Because the reptile brain is in charge. This is misery. This is entropy, death and destruction of the spirit. So of course you're miserable. So when we're telling you to destroy this, to defeat this, what a joke. This is a brainwashing. And then, how is narcissism created? Why are there so many narcissists around us? Because there is a parent that says to the child, your identity doesn't matter. You're only my servant. Obey or be punished. So the narcissist becomes a shapeshifter, doesn't have an identity. He will be whatever people need him to be, and he's a slave to that. He's dependent on that because his reptile brain has been conditioned early on that the only way to survive is to be a manipulator, a liar, a con artist, and whatever. And again, everybody is being conditioned to operate this way, not just the narcissist. The narcissist is just somebody where the conditioning and the programming succeeded completely and utterly. That's it. But the programming is happening for everyone. So, you know those people who have suffered, who have been traumatized to bits and pieces, just like the narcissist, maybe even worse. Then why are they not narcissists too? What are they doing differently? Could it be possible that it has something to do with this? Something to do with self-awareness? Awareness of self. Who is self? My will. My will, because if you know yourself, you know what you want. What you want, all you need to do to learn about who you are is to do what you want. Do what you want, and you will see who you are. That's all. It's that simple. But if you don't do what you want, you will never know. You'll be wondering, I wonder who I am. What am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Is this a joke? What is my purpose? Are you kidding me? Do you know what your purpose is? Do as you will is really not complicated. So you must be strong. You must resist. Because this human body has been designed to work against you. You just have to accept it. You're not a victim. Big deal. The human body has been designed to be my enemy. Big deal. I have to contend with this reptile brain. Ridiculous. Imagine that somebody puts a chip into your brain at birth, and that chip is programmed to make you a slave, and you can never get rid of the chip. That's what's happening. This is it. Transhumanism. We're already there. We're just manifesting what's been prepared for thousands of years. The next step of human evolution is to make sure that the reptile brain just gets a little bit of support. Not much is needed. A little bit of technology. And you will no longer feel the desire to even listen to this. Whatever desires you have, however much we have been traumatized, hijacked, and weakened, technology will finish what trauma has started, what identity disorders have created for people. Whatever identity you think you have, once you no longer identify as a soul, you are finished. Game over. Transhumanism is to turn people into robots so they don't see the difference anymore between robot and human. Because a robot doesn't have a soul, right? The more technology takes over, the less soul there is. Of course, we can use the technology to own advantage. But technology comes in many forms. Technology isn't just computers and phones and cars. Technology is the human body, your DNA. So your DNA has been altered. So now we have, you know what's happening globally, where DNA changes, information is imprinted into the human body to modify the DNA. To what end? To make this weaker and this stronger. This is long-term planning. It will take a few generations to complete the process in which the DNA has been so altered that this is so weak, nobody will care anymore. Everybody will be a narcissist. Ideally, you know. That would be the end game. There are some of us who come from certain lineages, certain bloodlines, where our DNA has been left more intact, more natural, more original. And we are wondering why other people around us are not getting it. They seem to be perfectly content, doing their 9-to-5 job, being a slave, doing things they hate to do. Why don't they have a problem with this? They seem perfectly content, being sick, eating things that are bad for their body and their soul. Why don't they care? Because their DNA is suppressed. The parts of your body that are responsible for making you listen to this, perhaps you come from a lineage where this has been less hijacked. You know, there are certain tribes in the world, certain species, certain races of humans I'm not being a racist saying this. This is just biology. But some races have been less hijacked, and it's easier for those people to listen to this. Because the reptile brain is weaker, you know. It's still biology, it's technology, human body. And everybody's reptile brain will be different. And some races, the reptile brain is very, very strong. There are many examples of this, like for example the Spanish. They've always been conquerors. The English as well. Always taking away from other people, from other countries. Why? Why are there some people who take more than others, who are more narcissistic? And what about people in the south, in southeast? What about Turkish people, Greek people, Egyptian people, Africans? Do you really think that the reptile brains are always the same? That it's not possible that some people are more pathological than others by design? This is really not far-fetched. This is not racism. This is simple biology. So maybe if you are lucky to incarnate into a body where the hijacking is less severe, this could be part of a reason why you are awake to this, why you have a problem with this system. But what about your soul's past? What about all those lifetimes where you've already been burnt out, where you already had enough of listening to the reptile brain? And perhaps some parts of you remember that you had enough, that you're not supposed to listen to this. Something inside you is telling you, don't listen to fear. Why? Where is it coming from? Clearly not from the people around you, who all seem to encourage and reinforce that same self-perpetuating mechanism that is designed to enslave them in you. They're not helping you. So what the heck? Where are you coming from? What are you doing here? Resisting, fighting back. What makes you so different? Your DNA? But then your family is hijacked too. Do you know anybody in your family who is less hijacked? Where is it coming from? Please ask yourself these questions, because it gives you clues about your identity. You must identify as somebody who's not going to fall for this, who is designed perhaps not to fall for it. Have you ever asked yourself? You must allow yourself to look at your body and even yourself, just for a moment, just for objectivity and clarity, like a robot. You are programmed. You are programmable. You can be manipulated. So what programming could it possibly be that tells you to resist? Perhaps your programming is superior. Perhaps your DNA is better. Perhaps you don't want to believe it. Perhaps you have also at the same time been programmed to doubt your superiority. Oh, you think it's arrogance? Again, there's the programming telling you, no, you're not special enough to resist the system. You're not special enough to be free. Do you really think that an ordinary person, a lowly person, a weak person, a hijacked person could resist and break free from this insanity where everybody around you is working against you? Your own body is working against you, and you believe you're nothing special to resist and break free successfully? Really? Then you've been hijacked. So you must be special. Oh no, we're breaking the barrier. Oh no, we can't think that. No, it's narcissistic. It's narcissistic to think you're special, but not actually be special. You see? You see how it works? You can be a warrior. You can be strong. Your identity, who you are. Are you strong enough to resist? Is your DNA superior? Is your soul superior? Have you already had the lessons? Because it is superior. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. But it's simple. If you're climbing a ladder and you already made all the work, all the steps, you already tried so hard to get to where you are now, and those others are still at the bottom, you are at the top. You must recognize this. If you identify with anything that I'm saying here, if you are resisting the control system, you are higher in the ladder. I don't care what you think, how lowly you think of yourself with this programming. So you must reclaim and accept your identity. You must put it into your body. Yes, I guess I am just that big of a deal. Why? Because I've done the work. Give yourself some credit. Do you really think you would have gotten here without... Oops. Hoppla. That's hilarious. I just had an accident. Well, this is a bit annoying, but doesn't matter. You get the point. Right. Yes, and I'm clumsy too. So if you're special, are you not allowed to be clumsy? You know, we need to get back away from this rigid thinking of no, if I'm not perfect, I can't be having a high self-esteem. Individuation and separation is about self-esteem. You must think of yourself quite highly. If you're grandiose enough to think, you could possibly resist a biological component of your own body. It's very grandiose, isn't it? But what's the alternative? So, this is my video about forcing yourself to work, forcing yourself to chase money, chasing... Who's chasing? It's just been the reptile brain. It's never been you. You're not chasing. If you identify yourself as reptile, as animalistic, you have an identity disorder. That's not you. Break free from false identification. You can do whatever you want. You are justice. So you don't need to listen to fear. Just do what you want and see where it takes you. If you are not allowing yourself to explore the possibility, then you will be like Captain Picard, the lowly science officer, in that alternate timeline. Because you refuse to take the risk. You refuse to go all the way. You refuse to sacrifice the material for the spiritual. But you're not sacrificing the material. You're only sacrificing the reptile brain. You're only sacrificing fear. It's only in your mind. It's only in your body. Only. Clearly not only, because you have to deal with it again the rest of your life. So you better commit to resistance. Because if you don't man up, or woman up, you're gonna be a snack for the imposers. This is gonna be easy to control you, you know. Just follow your mechanisms, follow your habits. Just go with the flow. Well, whose flow is it? Because most of the time, going with the flow, for most people, is going with fear, again. It's just a trap. It's easy to fall for it. Go with the flow. This is not flow. This is fire. This is explosive. It's dangerous. Oh no, I could die. I could lose my job. Yes. Is that flow? We need to come up with a new term. Because this goes beyond flow. This is deeper. This is stronger. This is something... I don't even know how to define it. Go with your will. Do as you will. That should be the line. Not go with the flow. We don't know what the flow is. We don't understand. Like one day we feel like this, then we feel like that. What's going on? What do you want? That's different. Because what you want, it's not so unstable. I think there's stability in will. I think will is consistent. I think will is something you work on, something you develop, and it stays with you for as long as it needs to. But the flow, very unstable. I wouldn't put my eggs into that basket. But that's just me, you know. Because I'm opposed to this philosophy, oh, just let go and let God. What do you mean, let God? Who is God? My will! My will is God. So that guy doesn't go with the flow. Because the flow could be the reptile brain and it's not going to listen to that. So what do you mean, go with the flow? It's ridiculous. So confusing. Makes you wonder, is it deliberate? Are they trying to confuse you? Because I know you've been dealing with that confusion. I know that you ask yourself, am I really going with the flow? I don't know. But your will, you know. You always know what you want. No exception. Oh, you don't know what you want? Really? Really? If you don't know, you're deceiving yourself. You're lying to yourself. You've been created psychological defense mechanisms because you're not ready to accept what you want. You've rejected it. You can't. If you reject that, you reject yourself. Then of course, it's like you hate yourself. We can't go with that. If we want to operate in love, we need to do what we want. Like a child, right? But the child is also goes with the flow because the child hasn't developed the awareness yet between this and that. So don't be like a narcissist, thinking, oh, I can just follow all my impulses. They're gonna lead me into the right way. Impulse and will, they have nothing in common. And that's what most people don't understand. When they hear me talking about will, they think I'm talking about impulses. Really? Really? I see no connection there. Do you? Write in the comments below, do you really think that will and impulse have anything in common? Anything? Not for me. Because my will is rational. My will is frontal lobe. My will is truth. My will is... I know why I want this. In fact, I do want this, and it doesn't matter what I feel. Doesn't matter if I feel impulsive, if I feel emotional. It's irrelevant. The will is beyond all emotions, all feelings. And this is the consciousness you get into. If you have a Kundalini awakening, if you have enlightenment, then you know that your emotions are completely irrelevant. They belong to the body. They only respond to what you're doing. You enjoy your emotions. You let them guide you, but control you like an impulse. That's narcissist behavior. A narcissist does that. A healthy person enjoys their emotions, appreciates and understands their emotions, and then makes the decision consciously of whether or not to follow it. If it's in alignment with their will, that emotion, good, then follow. But if it's not, what are you doing? Is weakness. And the narcissist is so confused, identity disorder, they don't even know the difference between will and impulse. So all these narcissists, all these delusional, disordered people come to my comments, to my videos, to my messenger, to my posts, and tell me, you can't do as you will. You're just projecting. You're projecting because your will is corrupt. That's not my will. I don't want to hurt people. I feel hurt when I hurt others. I don't want this. You want it. And that's why you're projecting that that's what I want. I can see right through you, hidden enemies. So anybody who says anything against will and using your will is a hidden enemy. And they're trying to brainwash you. Because they're telling on themselves, they're confessing the corruption, the evil within their soul. Any soul who tells another soul that you can't do what you want is demonic. Absolutely demonic. Yeah. Make no mistake. It's demonic to tell other people that they can't do what they want.